If you want to see me perform live, join me every Wednesday at 10 p.m. for Thai Rivera and Friends. Okay, so before I start yapping too much, there are two people that I notice get mentioned in my comments quite a bit. Let me make sure this is running so I don't. There's nothing worse. Like, there was once this guy that wanted to work with me. He wanted to be my producer, not producer Justin, another guy that wanted to work with me. And he made me so mad one day. And that's why I didn't end up working with him long term, because he was really like insistent on wanting to work with me, right? And I was just like, well, I guess, but right now I do everything myself. So I will see how this works out. But, it's like that feeling where it's like, I don't like to add too many people to the operation, just because I know different people go through different moods, and then I get annoyed with certain things, which, like, I'm probably easier to work for or work with than most people would imagine. I think people have this idea that I'm constantly upset or unhinged or going through something. And my life is really the opposite of that. Like, I pretty much take care of everything myself as far as recording, editing, sound. And I'm not acting like I'm perfect at all of it, but I'm good enough at all of it to be able to get everything I need to get done. And so I don't always like to add extra people, because extra people will sometimes do things that get on my nerves, and it'll be like small things, and I won't say anything to them. I'll just eventually be like, all right, this isn't going to work out, because what seems like a small thing to other people is actually a bigger thing to me. As far as, you know, I do have a lot of fun recording my podcast, even when I'm just completely by myself, no guest, no producer, nothing. I have a lot of fun doing it. That's why every time you guys see me laugh on my podcast, I really am laughing. It's not like a manufactured thing. Because I do everything stream of consciousness and I just let myself talk, sometimes I'll say stuff that even I find like either shocking or silly or just, really amusing. And so that's what will make me laugh like a crazy person sometimes. And that's part of why I do stand-up comedy, is because I really love laughing. I also love making people laugh. And so but there was this guy that wanted to work with me really bad, and he kept talking to me about it and talking to me about it. So finally I was like, okay, we'll try it out. And so we did an episode that's only available on the Patreon. That's the only place I've ever uploaded it. And we did, I think, two of them. And he had this idea where he would come in with subjects for us to talk about, which I was fine with trying out, but I like better just to see where the conversation goes organically. Like, that's a better process for me. I have more fun with it. If not, I'm too distracted about what it is I'm supposed to be doing instead of what I want to be doing. And so this particular guy, one time, he forgot his sound thing at home, which I don't remember what kind of recorder he was using, or, because I use a Zoom recorder and then I just sync up the audio and the video. And so I don't remember what particular brand he was using, but he had this device and he forgot to turn on the sound. Which, there is nothing that will make me shut off something I'm listening to quicker than bad sound. Like, if it's too quiet and I can't hear it, I'm at the gym, I'm trying to get some work done. I don't want the inconvenience and the annoyance of trying to be like, what did that person just say? Let me rewind it a little bit. Nope. I'll just completely switch it off, and then maybe I'll try it out on my TV and see if the sound's a little better there. But usually when I'm consuming content, it's when I'm at the gym. So anyway, so one time he forgot the sound, and I know that I had been really fun on that episode. And so I just was like, you know what? Let me stop working with this guy. Because another time he forgot his device at my place, like that same recording device. He actually forgot it at my place one time. And then he wanted to like figure out how he could get it from me, which I was really busy at that time. During those weeks, or that week, I was super busy. And so, and also I'm not a morning person. So when a person's talking to me about, I can stop by your place at like 9 a.m., it's like 9 a.m. I might either just be going to sleep or I might be fully asleep by 9 a.m. Sometimes I stay up, more recently, sometimes I stay up till like 1 in the afternoon just because of all the stuff I'm doing. So, anyway, long story short, I had somebody that was working with me for a while, and then I had to get rid of him just because he forgot the sound, and the sound wasn't going to be good at all because it was going to be otherwise, I think, sound through his camera. And so got like, yeah. And plus, the other thing was he wanted to always be on with me, like sitting next to me, and not in a creepy way, but just like sitting next to me so that he could be part of the episode. And I'm like, I don't always want a co host with me. Sometimes I just want to talk. And the other thing is, people aren't usually good listeners, like that's the thing with people. Like, I don't know if you guys have paid attention when I've had guests on my show, but when I have guests on, I will sincerely listen to them. I'll be engaged in the conversation. And I always feel like if I have something that I really want to say, if it's important enough, I'll remember it. Or if the conversation just takes a different turn and I don't end up getting to say what I wanted to say, if it's important enough, I can remember it for the next episode and I can say it when I'm by myself. And so for me, I would rather be actively engaged in the conversation and listening rather than trying to talk over the other person. Like, I hate when people talk over me, and I try not to talk over other people. And when I say I try, I'm pretty good at not talking over other people. And I know that because we're comedians, a lot of times people want to jump in and say the funny thing. And a lot of times I just feel like, yeah, that wasn't funny enough to interrupt an actual thought and an actual conversation. So I wanted to talk a little bit though about like the two names that I always see or have seen kind of a lot in my comments. People often ask me because of my Mothership or Kill Tony connection about Casey Rocket and Cam Patterson. I've already told you guys I really like Cam Patterson a lot. That hasn't changed. He and Casey Rocket, when people mention them in my comments specifically, it does bring a smile to my face because I hate following either of them on a show. Like, they're such different energy from what I am, and I had to follow them quite a bit when I first got here to town, or when Cam first got here to town. And then with Casey was already here when I got to town, so I had to follow him a few times. And they're just such strong energy. Which isn't to say I won't follow them, but I just didn't love following them because I knew I would have to work, which is a good thing and a compliment. So both of those guys, I really like them. I think they're super talented. I know some people have really strong opinions about both of them for different reasons. For me, because I said last week that I didn't like Robin Williams' kind of ADHD energy. And some people asked me because of that about Casey Rocket. And so for me, I don't know. Casey is just so different from that, what I didn't like about Robin Williams, that I don't even consider him like that, even though I can see how people would make that comparison. But I really, really think that Casey is very talented. And I really like watching him work. As an audience member, I love watching him work. Cam Patterson, same deal. But Cam Patterson is much newer. And one time I was talking about him here on the podcast and saying how great he was. And then I said that he's going to have to reverse engineer it in a way. And then I didn't complete that thought because I got distracted and went on to something else. But what I was going to say is, Cam Patterson is just on the newer end. And so when you're new like that and you get a bunch of success and a bunch of attention, which he's gotten through his Kill Tony connection and also just his own thing, because I really do feel in my heart of hearts that no matter what happened, whether Tony Hinchcliffe had come along and found Cam Patterson the way he did, or discovered him, some would say, or it was just on his own, either way, the trajectory, that Cam Patterson is on now is where I think he would have been either way. And so he's just got that dynamic type of personality, and he is really good on stage, and he is a really funny guy. And he was always, I haven't really been out the last couple of weeks, obviously, but I I know that when I was out more, he was out all the time and doing as many mics he could do and as many shows as he could do. And even though he's getting to do some really great stuff, he hadn't let that go to his head in any way, which is very important and very smart of him to continue working the way that he's working. And I hope he's still doing that now. But I really feel like if he just continues with that same work ethic and that same, like, having no pride, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but no pride about where he'll show up, because I've been the same way my whole career. And I think that's kind of why I got to the point that I'm at now, where I'm just sort of like, yeah, I don't want to do a lot of things and I don't want to be around a lot of people, because for so long I was around people all the time, and for so long I was going to everything I could possibly go to and truly working like a new comic, working like an open micer to always have new material. And for some reason, when I came to Austin, there came a point where I just felt like I was always showcasing, and that's nobody's fault, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying that the Austin scene is bad because of it. Anything that anybody might be thinking negative about the outside right now, I'm not thinking about even a little bit. Technically, these last couple of weeks have been so great for me because I really have been able to be home, and just the more that I'm home, the more I just go into myself and what it is I need to be doing and what it is I need to think about. And you can blame the outside world for every problem you have, but the outside world isn't going to change. What you can change is what you're doing and how you react to things. That's what you can change. And sometimes I've said these kinds of things because this isn't new thinking for me. This is just one of the first times that I'm really getting to zero in and really getting to do it and put it in action where it's all the time for me. Because I wake up, and I don't mean this to sound in a self-centered way, but what else could it be when you're living alone and you're doing your own thing all the time? If there was any time to really only think about yourself, it's when you're handling everything for yourself and you're only relying on yourself. So I really do like that from the time that I wake up until the time that I go to sleep, I only think about myself, and my dogs are extensions of me. So when I say I only think of myself, obviously I have to feed those little motherfuckers. And I also have to take them outside when they have to go potty. And they're both litter trained, like I said before, but they're dogs, so they prefer going outside to go potty. So I ask them all the time if they got to go potty, and if they prefer go outside, they'll let me know. But like days like today, when it's been raining, it's perfect because both of them, I don't know if that's a Chihuahua thing or a little dog thing or just a my dogs thing. But my dogs hate being in the rain. They do not like it at all. And I'll go out there with them just so they can go potty. But as soon as they notice it's raining, they'll stay under the awning. They'll pull back from me. And so it's like, okay, then I guess that's why we have a litter box. They don't usually go number 2 in the litter box unless they absolutely have to, though. So for anybody that thinks like, my apartment smells like dog shit or something like that, it's not that kind of situation. And they'll let me know when their litter box needs to be changed out, because dogs are like people and they don't want to go potty in a dirty bathroom. And so, they'll send me a text like at HEB and be like, hey, this bathroom's got to be cleaned up. And by that, I mean, Lindy will piss in the kitchen floor, which not the kitchen, but the other side that's more like the dining side. That's where he'll pee, which like doesn't make me happy. But then at the same time, it's like I get busy sometimes with everything I'm doing and I forget to change. What are you doing? Stop it, both of you. Sorry. I'm not going to edit that out. But what happened was I keep my recorder on a tripod, and these two are, I don't know what, probably arguing if I know them. But yeah, I was talking about them anyway, so I guess they decided to make a scene of themselves. But anyway, so the thing is, Yeah, I've just been doing the stuff that I have to do. And today, I guess, or not today, this week, I guess, would have been kind of the last gasp of anybody really trying to hit me up about anything when it comes to comedy in this particular city. And I don't like when people kind of hit me up on that energy, like, I'm looking for a way to get back out, because I'm really not. And when I want to be out again, I will definitely be out again. I'm not above just going to an open mic to work some stuff out if the bug should hit me that way. But I've been doing so much at my place, even when you pay attention to like the content that I've been putting out. I think I put out 5 videos in the last week, which is kind of a lot, and some of them were edited. I think 3 of them were edited, and then 2 of them were podcast, which obviously with the podcast, I don't do editing, or I do very minimal editing. If there's something that I know that YouTube would definitely have a problem with, obviously I'm not going to put that up. But if it's something that's just, like I didn't necessarily like that I said it, it's staying in, because I feel like all of that is important to the conversation, which is one of the things I don't think a lot of people get about me. And I'm not going to lie to you guys and be like, I think this has all been a huge misunderstanding. And really, people just didn't understand my style of communication. No, I was saying a big F you to a lot of people. I have been, for the last couple of weeks, really doing that. And I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny accountability for that. But what I will say is that it doesn't seem to be fair rules with people. And I kind of look at that as flattering in a weird way, because I just think that the average person, or the average person that I would deal with on any kind of regular basis, is a lot more fragile than I am. So where people will tell me what they consider to be the truth directly to my face, I know that I usually have to be a little more careful about the way that I talk to them if I want to continue being friends with them, because I will hurt people's feelings sometimes without even trying to. And so I have to make a conscious effort around people sometimes to not hurt their feelings, or to not say things in a way that would upset them. Like when it comes to like my situation with Rebecca or any of those people, it's like in a lot of cases, those same people have joked with me about the fact that I'm crazy, because people will say things like that to me. And I don't argue it, because nothing makes you look crazier than arguing the fact that you're not crazy. So there's that. There's also the fact that I don't really consider that to be an insult. It just is what it is. But then there's also the fact that I am very secure in what they consider to be my crazy, because a lot of what people consider to be crazy is just the fact that I really am my own thing. And so where other people will be like, oh, I shouldn't say this, or I shouldn't do this, I have that to a lesser degree. Obviously, I said that when I'm trying to spare my friend's feelings, or I don't want to hurt somebody, then I'll watch what I'm saying. But in a lot of cases, I just let myself say or do whatever it is I feel like saying or doing, and then I work from there. Which, on that note, I ended up not hurting Celia Contreras, which, if you're not familiar with her, I don't know how to describe Celia. She's a heavier set woman. We'll go ahead and put it that way. She did really well on Kill Tony. 2 times I think she's been on Kill Tony. The first time I was the guest. And on that one, somebody sent me this thing from Reddit, which I have a Reddit, or, I have access to Reddit and it's on my phone, but I'm not a Reddit person. And I can honestly say I've never really like learned how it works. I know that if I get a notification that says something that's like, of one of the interest, which are very few that I've looked into, then I'll check that out once in a while though. It's like rare that I'll pay attention to Reddit. But what I'm saying is I don't really know how Reddit fully works, and I'm definitely on not on there. It doesn't, from what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be a very positive place. And like I've already told you guys, I'm not letting a lot of negativity in right now. If I get my way, I'll let zero negativity in. But somebody did send me at a point where on one of the Reddit threads for a Kill Tony thing, the when I was the guest on the show, and then Celia, who is from Phoenix and I've known since Phoenix, was one of the bucket pools. There were people saying that it was obvious that that was a setup because Celia was my friend. One, me and Celia aren't really friends like that. I really do like Celia, but we're not friends like that where I would like try to rig something. Also, I'm not really a rigger. I'm not really that guy, you know what I mean? Like if I have a way that I can get a friend in like a legit situation, I obviously am open to doing that if I feel like they're good for that particular situation. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to be like, hey, can we be sneaky and do this particular thing? And people have asked me about that. Like, are the bucket pools rigged? And honestly, as far as I know, they're definitely not. So, you know, I know different people have different suspicions about different things. Like one time I was watching Joke World. Back when I watched Joke World, I was watching one time, and they were like, could it be possible that Tony Hinchcliffe had never seen Heath Cordes at the mothership before? And as a person that's been to the mothership a lot and worked the mothership a lot, that place is really designed like a sitcom set. You know, I mean, like, and I don't mean that in a silly way at all, or in a bad way at all. But it's like there are times when two people can be there and completely not see each other when they're trying to, or when they both have the intention or wouldn't mind seeing each other. I know that because that's happened with me and friends where I've been like, mentioned, you know, that I was there the night before, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I was there too," and I'm like, "Where were you?" And they're like, "I was in mid-season," and like, I was in the green room, or you know, and then like, you know, you'll leave the green room, and then that person will come in, and then you go down to mid-season. So it's, you know, like it's. I don't think, as far as that goes, it's what people think. I could be wrong. What do I know? Maybe Tony is rigging the bucket pools. But I honestly do feel, as a person that's watched a fair amount of the shows live, I don't ever watch on YouTube. I mean, like, I watched one episode on YouTube, and that's because somebody, maybe Aaron Belial had mentioned that he had done something fun, and so I watched that one. But I'm not like a regular, like I don't watch Kill Tony on YouTube. Also because I've seen it so many times live now that once I see something live, I usually don't want to see it in any way recorded or televised, just because I like being enveloped in the whole energy of it and stuff like that. And so what I was trying to get at is, for anybody that thinks that I had gotten Celia hooked up on Kill Tony, that is not the way that went down at all, and I promise you that. But I was very happy to see her on. See, that's another way that people should have known that it wasn't rigged in any way, because if it was rigged, I would have acted like, wonder who this stranger is. This is going to be exciting. You know, I would have at least played it off in some way. But, you know, when I saw her, I think when she got on stage, I think I gave her a quick hug, or I definitely gave her, like, you know, I definitely let it be known that she was one of my friends. Also, when they asked me whatever, I let it be known, which I'm going to make a video on Kill Tony specifically coming up, but it's not going to be any kind of weird hit piece or whatever. This guy sent me his video about what he thinks of Kill Tony, and he asked me about it, and I thought that would be interesting content for me to respond to this guy's stuff. And of course I'll have my opinions or whatever, but you know, I'm not like, I'm really trying with everything that I'm doing right now just to be as honest with you guys as possible, because I'm not trying to clickbait you guys and be like, oh, this is going to be some kind of gossip fest or whatever. Like, this one I think might be kind of juicy, just because I think Celia thinks I'm mad at her and I'm really not, but there are things around that situation that did get on my nerves. But it's like, I'm not trying to in any way flame her right now. I just know that she ended up blocking me on Messenger on Facebook, which who cares? I'm not on Facebook almost ever anyway. And I didn't hit her up. This bitch has a lot of nerve. Maybe I'll see if she'll do an episode of the podcast just so that we can talk about it there. She might be open to it. But yeah. So my thing is, before I get to the Celia part, like the part that's personal, and I don't mean personal in a weird way, but like where we actually had our one-to-one interactions on Messenger. But just the in general of things is, I'm not looking for things to do. I'm not secretly wishing that somebody would hit me up so that I could go do a set somewhere, or trying to find a way back out onto the scene. Like I said, if I feel like being out, I'll show up at an open mic, and anybody can feel any way they want about it. As long as the host is going to put me up, I'll just go up like any other comic. But I'm not at all worried about anybody's feelings, or so-and-so might get uncomfortable. I don't give a fuck how you feel when it comes to that. I'll be 100% honest. My course doesn't change because peasants have a problem with the way I move. And that is something everybody needs to know. So if you do see me out and you have a problem with it, don't try to make it my problem, because I'll be very clear with you that it will not be my problem. Uh, and I do have to be clear with people sometimes, because you see, I keep hurting people's feelings, and it's really because they're the ones that get in my way. Because all I do is make a quick statement, and then somebody tries to get a little sassy with me, and then I end up handling that, and suddenly I'm the bully and I'm the bad guy. And the truth is, 100% honest, if you look at the way everything's worked out, if it were anybody else, I would definitely be considered the one that's being bullied in this situation. That's 100% true. Like, yeah, I said that I didn't think Kim Congdon was doing well at the mothership. I didn't say she across the board wasn't funny. I said she wasn't doing well at the mothership. I said something similar about Sarah Weinshank, and they both went on a whisper campaign to make it so that I couldn't work. That is the bully move. Me being on my podcast or making content where I talk about the way things go or the way I feel about things, that's a perfectly normal thing for comedians to do. That's what most of the podcasts are built on, is people telling their opinions or talking about the things that are happening in their lives. It's just, for some reason, some people have decided that I shouldn't be allowed that if I do the same things that a lot of other people are doing, which is just creating content, as far as I go, as far as some people go, they take it very personally. And so, like I said, I'm doing what you're supposed to do, which is creating content. So when these people get mad at me, what I would tell them is, you can't call me evil or say that I'm bad because I'm doing the job of a modern day comedian. A lot of comedians run podcasts, and when I do my podcast, I usually do it by myself. So I've got to be a party of one and entertaining the whole time, just by myself, where other people will have co-hosts and they'll make it fun by bouncing off each other. Well, I only have myself to bounce off of most of the time, which is better than a lot of these two people teams that I see out here. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I know that I'm fun, and I know I'm entertaining, and I know that the fact that I am so willing to be open about everything is part of the appeal. And that's not why I do it. This is the natural me. It takes nothing for me to gear up for the podcast, except for today, because I was having one of those days, which I just want to say this for the other people that go through this, or the other people that are sticking to a gym schedule. There's the days when you really don't want to go to the gym, and you get there and you still hate it. Because like a lot of times, if you're like a gym goer, a person that has your routine or the exercise you like doing, or that helps you mentally and physically, because for me it is both, that a lot of times you'll be like, I do not want to do this. I do not want to go to the gym today. And then you'll get to the gym, or the rock climbing gym, or whatever it is you do, Pilates, yoga. You'll get there and you'll be like, all right, we're here. Let's get in gear. most of the time, that's the way it is when you didn't feel like going. Once you get there, you're like, yeah, let's turn it on. We're here. But then there's some days, like today was one of those days for me where I just hated it the whole time I was there. And a lot of times I'll do my cardio first and then the weights after. Today I did weights first because I felt like that was going to be the real part that was going to be the hardest. Because once I get to cardio, that's treadmill and that's kind of the work's being done for me, even though I've got to keep up. And, my treadmill. My treadmill routine is grueling. I dare anybody to come along with me. But, yeah, so it was one of those days, but on days like today, I just tell myself, because even though I'm hating it the whole time, I'm like, if you can get it done today, you can get it done any day. So I consider days like today, where it's the hardest, to be the most important, even though I don't like them. I hated it, like I said, the entire time. And when I got to cardio, yeah, that was easier, but that was just because I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. But and right now that's so important for me is sticking to my gym routine, also doing content like I'm supposed to do. Also, like I was saying, really working on the mental side of everything that I'm trying to do right now, or not trying to do, that I'm in the process of doing right now. It's very important for me to stay focused, not only physically, but mentally as well. And so, I get a little short with people if they hit me up sometimes, which is kind of what happened with Celia. But then there was also kind of her not realizing that she was coming at me sideways. And I'm going to read you guys the messages, which I don't consider to be a violation of trust. But if she does, that's on her. Because, I'm pretty much... Can we just agree that I am what I am, you guys? Can we stop just acting like every time I do something, it's shocking again? Here's what happened. She sent me the other day. So I don't know if this is disrespectful, especially because I know I can't pay you what you're worth. Nobody can, sweetie. Just playing. Anyway, and you're a better comic, but would you be down to be my feature Sunday, May 12th? It's my 8-year comedy anniversary. Now, let me tell you guys something about me. If I like you and you hit me up to do a show, there's pretty much no way I'm going to be insulted. There may be a chance that I won't be able to do what you want me to do because I'm either booked that day or I'm going to be busy that day and I know I have a lot going on, or it's for no money at all. And I don't take, I don't ever like to promise that I'll be anywhere when I'm not being paid at all. Because if I'm not being paid at all, which doesn't mean I won't take small amounts of money at different points, because if you catch me on the right day, I'm not really worried about money like that. I'm not just completely focused on that. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I want to see my friend. And so if I an 8-year comedy anniversary, you asked me to be your feature. Yeah, I know that I could headline. And when we talk about the venue, I know that venue and I have a relationship with that venue. And I know I could headline at that venue through them. But I do think it's flattering, and I do think that it's very nice of you that you wanted me at your 8-year comedy anniversary and that you were willing to pay me to be there to be your feature. So, so far we're doing great. I got this. She sent it to me at 1:53 a.m., which is business hours for me. I'm up during that time doing the stuff that I need to be doing. So anybody, like most comics are, if you send me a message at 1:53, the worst that's going to happen is if I am asleep at that time by some odd coincidence, I just wouldn't answer. But when I woke up in the morning, I wouldn't be like, 1:53 a.m., who would hit me up at that time? So anybody that thinks anything like that, block it out of your mind. 1:53 a.m. We got the vacancy. We got the vacancy light on. That's what's going on over here. I do not care about 1:53 a.m. So I put possibly where Then she said Shakespeare's, which I love Shakespeare's. The other night I was hanging out with some friends and I told them to meet me at Shakespeare's because if they wanted to hang out on 6th, I want Shakespeare's to get the money, even though it's just a couple drinks and a couple tips. But, I do like Shakespeare's a lot. I like Gio over at Shakespeare's. I think Luke is still over at Shakespeare's. David, who's like the manager, he's really great. Then there's one of the bartenders. I can't remember her name, but she's really sweet, really pretty, really nice, really great. And so I like Shakespeare's. And so when she said Shakespeare's in my head, I was like, yeah, as soon as she said that. And so she sent Shakespeare's. And then she put, Ty, I ardently love you as a person and as a comic because you're fucking real. And then, I just sent a heart emoji. And then she was like, I know I've pissed you off in the past, and I get it. I am scared to upset you further than I have because I look up to you that much. But I will say you were real with me. But I do feel you can dish it out more sometimes. I do feel you can dish it out more times than you can take it sometimes. Okay, now let me explain to you why this would get on my nerves. I mean, I think it would get on anybody's nerves. Is because there is absolutely nothing for me to take from anybody. That's what the problem is. Like when you hit me up and you're like, I feel like you can dish it more. I prefer not dish it or take it. That's what I prefer. I prefer there be nothing for me to dish. But if I do have to dish it, you can try to send something back to me, but I'm only going to hit harder. That's the way I work. So, yeah, you're right. I'm not just going to sit and take it because usually if I say anything, it's because I'm tired of somebody's shit or I'm tired of shit that's going on around me. That's why I'll end up saying something. But usually I just keep to myself. Anybody that knows me, anybody that's dealt with me in person-to-person interactions knows a lot of times I am just chill and quiet, even though the fact that I have a podcast and what I do on stage would tell you that I probably have more of an animated personality. In a lot of cases, I'm a chill person that'll sit in a corner and maybe talk to one friend, but I'm not usually trying to be the center of attention or the kind of person that feels like I need all eyes on me. That is not the role I play. Usually, like I said, I try to find a spot by myself and have as little attention as possible so that as few people talk to me as is humanly possible. Really, that's what I want in the world. So, as far as I go, if I do end up dishing anything, I'm probably not going to take a lot because the only reason that I dished it in the first place is because I felt like I had dealt with enough. So, and also, me and Celia don't have this Celia do not have this relationship. Because my thing is, I only had to I've had to tell her something a couple of times, but it's just because Celia, and this is not a secret, is a real drinker. Like, she gets drunk and she'll try to send me messages like this. See, like with me, like I said, the hour 153 is no problem for me. But you hitting me up drunk, trying to talk any kind of shit at all, I'm not out. You had to hit me up to try to tell me something that you probably wouldn't usually tell me sober. And so once you got your liquid courage in, then you're like, let me drop a backhanded compliment. And it's like, bitch, sorry, my phone is acting stupid over here. Let me see if I can fix this situation really quick, because it just said that it just said it was having a battery problem, which it shouldn't be because it's been plugged in. God damn son of a bitch. God damn it. This is getting on my fucking nerves, you guys. You know? You tell the universe you're not going to do any edits, and the universe is like, you said no edits. This is so annoying. Let me see. Got my phone all crooked. But what was I trying to get at? Oh yeah. So Celia will every once in a while hit me up drunk, and I'm not that guy. I don't drink. So when people hit me up drunk, or when I'm dealing with people and they're drunk in person, I don't like it. And I don't care what your little drunk thoughts are or what the things are that you can't tell me when you're sober. If you can't tell me sober, then I don't want to hear it when you're drunk either. I'm not part of that. Plus, I don't know Celia like that. Like, yeah, we've known each other from Phoenix in a very casual way, and I do look out for her in a way, but that's also because she's a Phoenix comic. And just to be 100% honest, Celia's very honest about the fact that she wasn't really raised that well. And I was. But I was. And so I know how to behave. Like, anytime anybody sees me acting out of order, believe me, I know how I could be behaving, or how some people would think I should be behaving. It's just at that moment I've chosen to be ghetto and gut bucket, as one of my friends used to say back in the day. I still don't even know what gut bucket means exactly, but I know it means you're being super ghetto. She'd be like, "Girl, you are real ghetto and gut bucket right now." And so, but yeah, and so there have been times where I, for Celia's own good, let her know that the way that she was behaving might get her banned from certain places or not allowed in certain places, which, if you're fine with that, I get it. But if you're oblivious to the fact that this could be that kind of situation, and I know that you don't realize that because the people that raised you, and I'm not being insulting, this is just me being 100% honest from things that she's told me and from things she's talked about very publicly. It's not like I'm putting out her business right now, and I'm very clear about that, because sometimes people will treat me like I'm putting personal business out there when it's like, no, you've talked about this on stage, or you've talked about it in large groups of people, or this person has talked about it. Because I don't think Celia would be the kind that would come at me with that energy where she'd be like, why would you say that? But I think that people that are watching this might be inclined to be sort of like, well, it seemed like you were crossing a line. And believe me, I'm not. And if I am, that's not my intention right now. You can see I'm frazzled. A lot has happened in the last few minutes. I've been through a lot. But yeah. And so when she said that, it kind of got on my nerves, but I didn't go fully into it. But one time that I had to help her out, because I always tell the comics, if I ever yell at you or correct you in any way, you're lucky that I did it. And it's just because I'm actually letting you know how to conduct yourself in this particular situation, where I'll tell you what a lot of other comics will do. Comics that are my level or above, and even if you think I've fallen off because I choose not to be anywhere and because I chose to piss a lot of people off, I still have my status as a comic where I'm at. So, and I guarantee you, if I go out, people will treat me with respect. That's what you have to remember. And so have your little open mic feelings, but don't mistake me for being something other than what I am, because what I am transfers. And so the thing is, I tell people that because comics at my level above or above, what they'll usually do is they'll just let you do whatever you do. They'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. They might even laugh at something that you say to them that's kind of sideways. They might even act like you're being fun when you're acting like an asshole in the green room. But then, when you leave, they'll let them know, they'll let the management know, they'll let security know that you're not to come back in when they're in there, And anytime they're there, you're not allowed in. That's the way that'll usually get handled. Where I may snap at you, or I may polite-ishly correct you on your behavior, but I won't make it so there's a consequence. I won't tell anybody that I don't want you there. Really, it'll stay between you and me and whoever else happens to be there in the moment that I decide to let you know that you're not conducting yourself in the way that you should be conducting yourself, which for anybody that wants to talk shit, I'm talking about in green rooms and stuff like that, which are comic spaces, and there is a way that you should conduct yourself. So if you think that it's like, well, if they're hanging out and you're hanging out, you're just both people. No, I'm usually working a show if I'm in the green room. And then sometimes there'll be people that are newer comics that are either just hanging out or have done their set and could actually have left already, but they're drunk, and so they're being a nuisance. And every once in a while, like I said, there will be a situation like that. It happened specifically with Celia, and it wasn't even my thing. I was trying to save her. Really, I was just trying to save her from herself on this particular night. And she knows the night I'm talking about. And we were in a green room together, and the comic that runs the show is actually a really well-known comic, and for a person like her, there could definitely be consequences to her not behaving the way that she was supposed to behave on that particular night. What happened was, it's a really busy green room all the time, but there's only people that are on the show that are allowed. And so that's that kind of green room. And she happened to be on that show that night, but she had already done her set. She had done her set at the beginning of the night. And like I said, like if you're a newer comic, a lot of times if you're going to be drinking and that kind of stuff, it's probably better if you leave so you don't make a bad impression. That's just good advice from me, because I've seen so many comics screw themselves because they had one too many and their inhibitions are lower, and they don't remember that they have to behave or conduct themselves in a particular way so that they don't get a bad name, or so that they don't get 86 from that green room. And so, like I said, it's always busy in that green room, and we're always having conversations when we're back there. There's a million conversations going on. But one thing I will tell you from being in that green room a lot, is that there's not usually a dominant voice in the green room. Like, there's a million conversations going on, and you usually can't hear anything over like just the general murmur, the collective murmur of conversations happening. But on this night, Celia was being really loud, and she was having this really loud conversation. And so the guy that runs the show had mentioned to her, that like he had hinted to her that it was loud over there, that she was really, because like I said, she was booming over everybody. And so I noticed it happening, and that's closer to when Celia had first got here. Also, when Celia first got here, I made it a point to introduce her to everybody that was sitting around me the night that she came to the creek. So because she's from Phoenix and she's Latina and we're friends. And so I feel like that, like there is a little bit of a little sister vibe for me with Celia, even though I don't like to say it, because I feel like she might overstep her bounds, because she just doesn't know how to act. Nothing against her. She just she wasn't raised well. It's like, and I'm not even being snotty about that, but just, some people like, And so, yeah, so I politely told her at a point, like, hey, maybe keep it down a little bit. And I was very nice about it. I wasn't trying to big dog her. I didn't want to embarrass her. And it really did take a lot for me even to say it, because on one hand, I felt like it wasn't my place in a way. But on the other hand, the person that ran the show kind of gave me a hint that it was kind of my place, which you could argue that it isn't, but she's from Phoenix, I'm from Phoenix, and the person that ran the show knows that, I am like, I'm an LA comic, but I'm from Phoenix. And so I'll never deny or act like I don't feel some responsibility for the Phoenix comics in some way. And so I do. It's weird, but I do. And so, you know, so because, the guy that runs the show is just like, hey, you're both from Phoenix, right? And in my head, I'm like, it's my cue. And so I gave it a few minutes, and then I politely told her, like, hey, Celia, you might want to keep it down a little bit. I know you've been drinking a little bit or whatever, but just it's kind of loud. And so she kept talking. So then there was a point where the guy that runs the show asked her, like, are you talking about, because I think they were talking about Dungeons and Dragons or cosplay, or so it was something like that. And or LARPing, some nerdy shit, right? I'm not even with that. I'm not gonna act like I can relate to everybody. I can't. I'm not. I didn't live in nerd's existence before I did stand up at all, and so I'm not gonna pretend like I know what that nerd shit is about. You mentioned D&D or nothing against. If we have any D&D people, I'm not coming for you right now. I'm just trying to say I don't know anything about that stuff. Like, to me, nerd shit. And so, so there was a point where the guy that runs the show told her, like, oh yeah, if you're going to be talking about that shit, go to that part of the green room, because there's a separate part of the green room, right? And so, she didn't take the hint. So I knew, because the way I was getting looked at, I knew that they were getting ready to tell security to get her out of there. And once that happens, there's no helping you. I mean, like, maybe at that time I probably could have, but I ain't, because you let it to get to that point. So I'm not gonna. So what I did instead, I was like, let me help it so it doesn't get to that point. So I went over to her and I was like, Celia, and I did stand up to go talk to her. It's not like I shouted to her from across the room. I was like, you might want to go ahead and go now. It might be time to finish out your night. And then she was like, I'm going to do karaoke. And then I was like, then you should probably go out in the showroom. And so she was like, is this because you're mad at me because of such and such and such and such? And I was like, no, I'm really just trying to do you a favor now. Just go out in the showroom. Trust me. And so she took it a particular way. But for me, I really was just trying to help her out, because I'm not exaggerating to you guys even a little bit right now about the way it all went down. Me getting asked kind of, is that your girl? Because once I know I'm so good, because, like so many comics talk about, I'm not socially aware. I'm actually kind of autistic. But I mean, like I am the king of social cues. I mean, like, I am very aware. I've had to be. I've lived that kind of life where, I mean, like, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say I would have either gotten hurt more in life, like physically, as far as just happenstance, been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because, like, I'm very open about, like, there's points in my life that were very nice and very, I guess you could call them classy, or like, where it was like people were very civilized. But then there were parts of my life where I chose to be in very ghetto situations. So for me to have seen, like, like, I'm just trying to word it for YouTube right now, because I don't want for people to have firearms and that kind of situation, it was not at all like foreign to me at a point in my life. And so when you're around that kind of stuff, you stay aware and you pay attention to social cues, because shit can pop off at any minute. And sometimes it'll be in situations that you think it couldn't possibly happen at, and you've still got to be aware. And you just learn that by being in it. Like, I've been at quinceañeras, which you would think, like, a family get together, a quinceañera would be perfectly safe, family fun. Nope. Saw somebody get pistol whipped with their own gun at a Woo, I I love that story. But I mean, like, 'cause it was funny. I mean, like, well, it shouldn't have been, but it was funny. Somebody. Well, we'll talk about it. Maybe it'll be a Patreon sometime. But anyway, what I was trying to get at. So then she sent, and you can block me after that last comment. So when she said dish it out more than you can take it. And I just sent her back, well, there's really nothing for me to take. And then she sent LMAO. And then I sent, I'm not here for anybody's shit, and the world can either accept that or not deal with me. I truly do live in my own world at this point, which is true. And then I said, I set boundary. Then I sent, I set boundaries, and I keep a lot of people out. And then she put, that is part of why I love you. Ty, don't get mad at me at this. I'm going to read it with her typos because, I can't translate for you guys. Ty, don't get mad at me. This is a joke. But physically and outwardly, your outside face changes a lot. And I'll take that over all the fake ass bitches who have dice face. And it does say dice face. Like, Bay, you're a shooting star. And again, you have been real with me. I would like to return the favor. Which is more conversation than I need. And also, I don't get offended when people talk about me or plastic surgery or anything like that. But in the time Celia has known me, I have had very little done to my face, if anything. When she's been around, absolutely nothing, because when I was in Vegas was the last time I had fillers put in, and I did like a whole, like my lips and my, like, everything. But that was like 5 years ago. And so it's like, if you know the way fillers work, they dissolve over time, and then you're just what you are. And I didn't see Celia in that time. So I always hate when people try to act like I'm actively doing things and they're seeing these changes or things are always changing when they're not. If you're my family and you talk to me like that, I'll be 100% fine with it. Like, there was one time I posted on my Facebook because my niece is a fucking stupid ass, and she told me, she was like, Theo, because this is when I stopped doing fillers, and she was like, Theo, what's different about your face? What did you do? And then I was like, nothing. And then she was like, maybe that's what's different. And she was being completely sincere. And I just laughed, so I don't mind. I don't get mad. Then one time my mom just walked into the kitchen, and it was after I had a bunch of fillers done, and she was like, hey, enough with that face. And that's all she said. It's literally all she told me. And so, I don't mind when people talk about that, but when people say it, like, just to say it, and it's not, that's my main problem with people when they talk about me and when they talk to me. It's not what you say, it's the inaccuracy of the things you say. And so if you say something that's inaccurate, it'll just get on my nerves, because it's like, yeah, we don't have that relationship in that you haven't seen that. So you can't tell me what it is you've seen. Like, as far as anything fillers at all, a lot of people, don't understand that when I was 22, I think I was, or 21, something like that, I ended up getting injected with silicone. And so once that happened, that was, and I didn't realize it at the time. I'll do a video about it sometime, because I've been needing to tell you guys the whole story, or tell everybody the whole story, because I think it could serve as a public service, especially for some of these people that are running around getting ass shots and stuff like that, and not understanding that in a lot of cases, if you're doing that black market, it's gonna be silicone, and silicone you can never fully get rid of. And so there was a point where I had my face completely ripped open and scraped out. And that's the way they do it. Well, it's actually called a poke and pull method, I believe is what it's called. And it's a literal thing that doctors have to do with silicone, because once you get injected with silicone, it mixes with your muscle. And so what they have to do is they poke it with the scissor. That's the way it was explained to me. And then they take a tweezer and they pull it. And so they have to, since they're doing it like that, and there's so many nerves in your face, and there's one that runs like long ways and I think it is long ways. If you're a doctor, correct me. But there's one on the side of your face, on each side of your face, that if they cut it, sever it, then you'll have Bell's palsy. It'll just paralyze your face. And really, there's a little bit of that on this side. And so, but I literally had to have that taken out. And that was way before I met Celia. And so it's never going to be completely natural looking. And that's something I've accepted. But when people say stuff like that to me, it's like, I don't care that you say it, but at the same time, I care that you're inaccurate in what you're saying and you're trying to paint things a way that they're not. And I've had so much stuff done that I don't care if people know. Like, like where if I were getting fillers right now, I wouldn't lie to you guys. If I were getting Botox, one, my forehead wouldn't move like that, or I would go back and fucking complain because my forehead wouldn't move at all. Well, they've got it good now when they do it and you can get your eyebrows to still move. But even Botox I haven't done in forever. Like you want to know the truth about that is at a point I got tired of getting poked with fucking needles. Like that's what happened. Oh, another fun story was when I got my hernia and I told my dad, I'm just sick of getting fucking surgeries. And he was like, now you're sick of getting... I'm telling you, my family talks a lot of shit. There's nothing that any stranger can do that's going to be more just on the nose and no punches pulled than what my family does. So when people think that they're going to offend me with their little stupid comments, it's like, yeah, try having my family that will... not even accidentally. They just say what they say. People think I'm a problem. Trust me. The way you all feel about things I say is the way I feel about spending time with my family. That's why I live in Austin, Texas, and they live wherever they are. I don't even keep track of them anymore because it's like, yeah, stay gone. Wherever you're at, stay there. I live in a world where people respect me. I don't need your shit. Anyway, so then she sent that's part of why I love you. Ty, don't get mad at this joke. And then so there's that. And then she said, and again, you have been real with me. I would like to return the favor. And I sent, cool. Because I'm just, you asked me to do your show. I'm as easy as this. Like, really, all this conversation didn't need to happen because what should have happened was this is how easy it is to book me. You tell me where it is, what the date is, how much you're paying. I say yes or no. That's all it has to be. And so, but I know Celia is a drinker. And so I'm trying, this is my version of being nice and just deflecting. Because if you want me to be at your 8-year anniversary, we can figure it out. Just fucking, yeah, I know you're always going to be a drunk on some level. It's something I've tried to talk to you about and I've tried to help you out with it or at least be very encouraging of it. But for some reason, you just cannot take your paws off that bottle. So I've decided to, because there was one point where I told her, yeah, you just drink all the time. So don't bother me, and I literally told her not to bother me. And it's just because I don't want to be around that. Like I'm upwardly mobile. No matter what anybody thinks is going on over here, that is, I'll let you in on the secret, is I am upwardly mobile. I am leveling up. And that's the same state. Like, no matter what happens, I'm always doing better than I was the week before, the day before, the minute before. And yeah, I have little snags here and there where, but a lot of it is by design. So I don't know why these people can't get that if I don't have these vices of drinking and smoking the devil's lettuce and pills and the other stuff people do, then I'm not letting your problem with these vices affect me. That's not the way. That defeats the purpose. For me to be completely sober and then have your bad habits affecting my life in a negative way, how does that make sense? And especially if we're not dating. I'm not Tammy Wynette. This isn't some stand by your man shit. We ain't dating. We ain't fucking. We don't know each other like that. I find the right man, though, and he's got a little bit of a problem. I might guide him through a little bit if he's completely honest about it and ready to fix it. But, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Kind of down like that. If I really love someone, yeah. So I put, cool, send details for the show and I'll let you know if it works or not. And then I put, I'm really not interested in stand-up at the moment, to be 100% honest. Nothing I'm saying in my podcast is an quote-unquote act. And then she put, dude, you're fucking royalty. But I'm way more hammered. And she accidentally spelled hammered with a so in between and a 9 and a D. So it's hammer, so 9D. So I read that as hammered. Like to discuss this when I'm sober. And that's when it really hit me, because at first I wasn't really thinking about that. I just thought that maybe she was having a dumb moment. Like, I really did think she was having a dumb moment. Like, it hadn't occurred to me at that point that, she was hammered. But when she said it, then it was like, that makes sense. I'm glad I didn't just snap at her, because I was clear with her, but I didn't snap at her. And so I was glad for that, because she's drunk and whatever. And then she put, for the record, I was sober, I think it's supposed to say, but instead it says 2AS. I was sober 20 minutes again, but the booze kicked in. And then she sent me a thumbs up and another thumbs up. And then she put, that last thumbs up was an accident. I'm not tripping. I know how you get down, so I'm not, like, I still wasn't tripping, it's just like, and at that time, I remember I was editing, but, I had time for the quick chat or whatever, and if she doesn't want to tell me what the money is right then cool, then that's fine. I don't care. I really am tripping on none of this, and when I say that I don't want to be doing stand-up right now, or I'm not focused on that, that's what it is. But, like, if you're going to pay me and it's a special occasion, I'll show up. So it's not like I'm completely opposed to it, but any kind of like thinking that I want this or that, this, you're doing me a favor, none of that. And so then, so this is where it started to get on my nerves, because keep in mind that she sent the message that said that last thumbs up was an accident. She sent that at 3:11. And so the last time we had been chatting was 2:18. So it's kind of like, I get it. She's drunk. And so she just thought to send that to me. Maybe she just noticed it. But kind of annoying, because it's like, I'm done with that conversation. Like, that was an hour ago or whatever. There's nothing for us to talk about right now. Excuse me. So then at 3:31 a.m., she tried to video call me. And like I said, I'm editing. So once I saw that come in, I just went ahead and like I rejected the call. And in my head, I was like, okay, no, because I've told you guys before, I hate the phone. So when people call me, I literally get upset when people call. Like, I get mad. I get like, why is somebody calling me right now? And especially if you call me through an app. If you don't have my number, there's nothing for us to speak on the phone about. It's just if you're paying me a lot of money, or you're potentially going to pay me a lot of money, call me however you got to call me. But I know what Shakespeare's pays. I don't know what you're planning on paying me out of that money, but I know what Shakespeare's pays. And I love Shakespeare's. I really do. I have my own relationship with them. I'm not talking shit Shakespeare's. But I mean, like, I know that if I had to divide that up by a show, it's not going to be much for me. It's not going to be worth a phone call. I can tell you that. So then the next day at 2:41 a.m., she sends me, did I call you? This fucking bitch. And so I didn't respond, and then like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, she sends me another message and she said, also, I know it's probably not worth your time. I'm headlining Shakespeare's on May 12th if you're interested. I'd love if you host. I'm supposed to get paid $200. I will give that pay to you if you want to do it. Very generous of her to offer me all of her pay. She's getting paid $200. She's giving me $200. That is very generous of her. But I noticed that I went from featuring to hosting, which I don't usually host, but I'm still like, whatever, I don't care. And so I feel like since she's being so nice and offered to give me all of her money that she's getting paid for the show, I sent her a message to the back that just said, I'll do it for 100. And then I responded to her, did I call you at that point? And I put, yes, but I don't answer calls through apps, LOL. And then she sent, fair, it was an accident, LOL. And then she sent, also super weird being sober at this hour, which in my head, I was beaming with joy. I was so proud of her for being sober at 3 a.m. or what it is we're talking. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. I really do pull for her. I really do root for her. I want you guys to understand that. And Celia, I know you watch my podcast, so I want you to understand that too. I really do root for you. But you've just got to stop shooting yourself in the foot. And I'm glad you blocked me because, yeah, I don't like any of what you're about to do in these upcoming messages never needs to be done with me. And then she sent, fair, it was an accident, LOL. And then she put, also super weird being sober at this hour. And then she said, thank you so much. I'll let Dave know. Also, everyone at Shakespeare's wanted me to tell you that they love you and you're welcome here anytime. Which I really do like the whole crew at Shakespeare's, like I said. So I kind of felt like that's the way that they felt about everything, but I haven't been over there since, I went to go hang out there with my friends. And I didn't see any of the people that I know there. It was different employees working at that time. But yeah, I love the people at Shakespeare's. And the last time I was over there, which was just a couple weeks ago, like I said, they had told me that if I wanted to do another show there, if I wanted to headline my own night again, that we could definitely work that out. And so I appreciated her telling me that, but I already knew. But it's nice, you know what I mean? And I put, haha, I appreciate it. And then she said, I appreciate you, Queen. Have a good night. And I sent you too with the heart, right? So we're doing great. Like, as far as I'm concerned, everything's great. And then she said, so then the next day at 9:56 p.m., she sends me a message that says, heads up, I won't name them, but a few people didn't want to be on the lineup because you're hosting. I did feel I think she left out the word need, to let them know you were hosting. And then she sent, we got real ones in the scene though. And let me be very clear with you guys. Let me be very clear with you too, Celia. I do not concern myself with what the less talented and less accomplished do. That's just the way it works. I could literally completely quit stand-up. And I guarantee you that when the people you're talking about are done with their careers, like once this business has had enough of them, I will still have done more than them. So I do not care how they feel about me or who chooses. I never need to hear that kind of stuff. It's just unnecessary negativity that I don't need. Why do I care? If they're not going to be on the show, then just don't have them on the show. Don't bug me with the details. Also, I'm not part of the booking process. I am just a host that you asked to be there, and I said I would do it because it was your anniversary, but I don't work here. I'm just a guest, basically. So why do I care? And I do really mean that about these people being less talented and less accomplished, and that's the way it'll stay for their entire careers. So I don't care. The people that I do not talk to anymore, my former friends, are more likely to talk to me again than they are to treat most of these people with any respect in the first place. And that is 100% true. All I got to do is promise to be a good boy and I'll be back in there again, but I don't want to. I'm happy with where I am. So it's fun. I mean, it's very fun being the type of person I am. So then she sends me the lineup. So far it's going to be, and then she said this person's a yes for now, but might be out of town. He'll be officially confirmed in 2 weeks. And then she sent, I reached out to Carden, still waiting for a response. And I just let her know at that point, I don't work with John Carden because, me and John Carden used to be friends. but I told him I didn't want to be friends anymore, and I've been discreet about that. But for some reason, I keep hearing people telling me, or when I was out, I should say, I kept hearing people telling me like that John Carden was saying things about me, and it's like, he should have absolutely nothing to say about me. I stopped being his friend because he was irresponsible and he wasn't good for my life, and I was very discreet about that. So I don't know why he wants to be his own bad publicist and make it so I have to actually tell people what's really going on, because when they come to me with it, I'm definitely going to be like, yeah, no, that's not what happened. And him telling people, I tried so hard to be Ty's friend. Well, that should have been your first clue. Because if you have to try to be somebody's friend, especially mine, then there's a good chance that we're never going to actually be friends. And we were friends for a while there. I took Carden on the road for the first time he ever went on the road. And I was always cool with him. And when I first got to Austin, he was helpful with me. So it's not like I all the way around had a bad opinion of him. But when you have somebody that's talking about you in a negative way, and you know that you didn't do anything bad to them. Like, there was even a point when me and John Carden had a podcast together, and he's the one that bugged me to do this podcast. And then we start doing the podcast, and it starts picking up some steam, and then he didn't like something he had said, and this is completely out of my hands, right? Because what happened was, our producer at that time was a guy named Brendan, I think is his name. Or is it Brendan or Brandon? Either way. But he's cool. I like him. But obviously I don't know how to pronounce his name. But it gets kind of Brandon, who knows? But I really do like him. But, he was the producer and he was handling cutting the clips. And so he cut this particular clip that didn't paint John Carden in the best light. And I had been showing up every week to record the podcast. And keep in mind, like I said, I do my own thing. I didn't need to go shoot a podcast with him. But he wanted to shoot a podcast. He came up with the idea. He came up with the name. He really wanted me to do it. I agreed to do it. And then he ends up losing like 400 followers on Instagram because of what he said on the podcast, because of the clip that Brendan cut. So I had nothing to do with that. But then he decides that he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore. So in my head, I'm like, so the last couple of weeks that we've been recording these podcasts, because we were posting them, we were recording them, we were like shouting them out on our social medias, we were getting people to subscribe on Spotify and give ratings, and we were like, there's a friend of mine that is an actual social media guy, like handles social media promotion and stuff like that. He gave us a bunch of tips and was trying to help us out. I went to go meet with him about it. I was really putting work in, because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so then you decide you don't want to do the podcast because of what you said, because you don't know, yeah. And like, you want to pull promo on it and be like, I lost 400 followers. Well, don't be so stupid next time, like, what are you doing? Also, and trying to blame me. Well, you're going to get me canceled. And it's like, well, and I told him at that point, and I'll tell anybody else, like, even producer Justin should have known. I should have given the speech. But the truth is, if you want to do a project with me and you're worried about getting canceled, that's like telling me you're going to buy a car, but you don't want to drive it. Like, this is what it does. But yeah, so John Carden, I will not work with him, and he shouldn't want to work with me. I'm not leaving my cave to go hang out with people that I don't like. And at this point in my head, when I said I don't work with Carden, and then I put, go ahead and have him and I'll sit this one out. And then she put, okay, never mind, you cool, he's out. That's what she sent back. But like, I really did feel like that at that point. Like, it wasn't like a bratty move. It was just like, yeah, I'm not leaving the house to go hang out with John Carden. Plus, we ain't on the same level. And that's just what it is. So when I'm nice to somebody like that, and then they like act later on like, oh, I don't like Ty. No, I didn't like the way you were behaving, so I cut you off. Stop trying to act like you had a real say in it. And it was also because, I don't respect that move either. Because sometimes when things like this happen, like, I stop talking to everybody and things like that, because it's the first time I've done it. Next episode, I'll talk about that, like the different cities, if I don't have a guest. But either way, in the coming weeks, I'll talk about why I left the different cities and what my problems were there. Sometimes people try to bring that up like it's something I'm ashamed of. I'm not ashamed of any of that. I will tell you 100% what happened with those stories, and I'll give you the real version. I'm not going to give you some fucking lie or some cover story. Why would I start lying now? I don't care about anything. Um, I'm almost out of here, though. Sorry this one's turning out to be longer, but apparently I had a lot more to say than I thought. I want soup. I haven't known what I wanted to eat all day, and now I want soup. But, so then she sent, so then I sent back, by the way, I don't need to know how anybody feels about me. Just let me know what we're doing and when. And then she sent fair enough. And then when I responded to the heads up, I won't name them, but a few people because all this was happening pretty fast. So then I responded to that, and I was like, these kinds of things don't get sent to me. And then she sent, I know for future references, sorry, I'm sleep deprived. You're okay with everybody else on the lineup. Dude, I'm trying to make sure. Is everyone cool with each other? I know you're doing me the favor. Which I get that, but, the thing people have to understand about comics, and I've tried to tell people this before, comics are whores. So when people are like, will you work with this person and will you work with that person? Just tell them to either be there. This is what it pays. This is what we're doing. Either be there or don't. You don't get lineup approval. Even I wouldn't have gotten lineup approval if I hadn't been told who it was. Because otherwise, my real plan was exactly like I said. Just tell me when, where. If we can make it happen, I'll do it. If not, I won't. But, I didn't need to know that anybody didn't like me. I didn't need to know that you booked John Carden. Because really, what I would have done if I got there and John Carden was there is I just would have hung out in another part from him. Or if there was anybody there that I didn't want to be around, I'm in control of my own space. And so I would just stay away from that person. And it wouldn't, that's the way you handle it like a professional. But when you send me a message saying that you're waiting on that person, it's like, one, you should never have to wait for John Carden. He should give you a quick yes or no. Besides, what's he doing? He probably doesn't want to start me down this track. What I would say is John Carden should probably just keep my name out of his mouth altogether. Because I know a big secret about him that he would not like out there. And he is fucking up. Let me tell you that. You guys think I'm a fuck up. That one's a real fuck up. And I haven't said anything. So why am I getting mentioned? I think John Carden should just accept that he wasn't grown up enough to be my friend and move on. Anyway. If Rebecca thought I was dragging comic after comic before, look at me now, Ma. Anyway, I got to get out of here. I'm overly editorializing, but I told you guys this was going to be a good one, or one that's kind of juicy. So hopefully you guys like it. If not, what can I do about it? Drop a super thanks. What a great time to be drop a super thanks. Okay, so that's when she said she just wanted to know, then she sent, okay, so that's when she sent the dude, I'm just trying to make sure everyone is cool with each other. I know you're doing me a favor. And I said, yeah, but you have to remember I choose not to be out right now. You asked me to do it. I said, yes, I don't care about anybody's feelings about me. I don't care what anybody's saying. If I wanted to know any of that, I would go find out for myself, which is true. If I cared about any of these people's feelings, I would go to where they're at and I would walk up to them and I'd be like, hey, how do you feel about me? But the truth is, I don't care even a little bit about these people's feelings. So, I mean, it's out of sight, out of mind for me. Like I said, I've been working out and taking care of my dogs and creating content and doing I've been doing so many things that I really don't have time to think about how anybody feels about me. It means nothing. You could tell me that somebody in China felt a particular way about me and it would have just as much significance to me as what anybody on the Austin scene thinks about me is because I am in neither of those places. I am not in China and I am not in the Austin comedy scene. So how is it this is my problem? Why would I care? Um, and so that's when I had enough. And I was like, so after I said if I wanted to know that, then she said, that's fair. And this is when I decided to end it. She said, that's fair. I just feel like a bad person not letting someone I fuck with know. And I put, you know what? Never mind. And then she put, and this is why I like you because you tell me shit straight. And I put, count me out. Let's stop messaging now. Take care. Good luck with the show. And then she sent a thumbs up and then she blocked me. Which, like I said, I hope she understands from this episode. You know, like I tell you guys all the time, these have to be entertaining because otherwise they're just a victim statement. And I'm not very viable or believable as a victim. So I make them fun. But the truth is, I don't want to be bothered with anything. And so I would have her on the podcast and I'll hit her up and see if she wants to do it. But the main thing that I want Celia to know is if you're mad at me, that's your business and I don't mind. But if you think that I was mad at you when I said that, I was not mad at you. It's just, like I said, I'm doing so much stuff right now that I don't have time for that amount of messages about anything. And once it does start to get to a negative place and it's like, these people don't want to deal with you or those, like, there's no reason for me to know any of that. I don't care about any of that. And I don't talk to anybody right now. You know, Leonarda I talk to every once in a while. You know, I love Leonarda. But I'll tell you about her on the next episode. I'll tell you a quick story about Leonardo on the next episode. It'll be good-ish, but like I love Leonardo. Like I look at Leonardo, and I haven't known her that long. I met her when I got here, but I do look at Leonardo somewhat like family. Like I really do. She's just such a true and genuine person. For as gruff as her exterior is, you know. Also, I respect anybody that has a deeper voice than mine, and yeah, I really like that's one person that I do talk to, and I won't lie to you guys and say that I don't. That's one person that I actually talk to is Leonarda. But outside of Leonarda and her, we'll go a couple days without talking, you know, and sometimes we'll go a couple days without even texting. We'll have no communication. So that's the person I talk to the most. And me and her have no drama and no reason for drama. And I'm sure we never will have a reason for drama because we're both the same. Like Leonardo's the same as I am in the way that she's just worried about leveling up. So when she hit that snag with Mothership or whatever, like, yeah, we made a podcast about it or whatever, but it's not something, even when we talk like to each other, it's not something we at all harp on. We're not talking about these people and I hate this one and this person is that, or, you know, it's not that kind of situation. And, you know, if you're paying attention to my social media, every once in a while I'll shit on Bianca Parado, but that's just because that's fun at this point because she was trying to bully other people. And when people try to bully other people like that, sometimes I'll be like, you don't know what your auntie was in high school, girl. You don't know who you're messing with right now. Like, you may seem bitchy to the other girls, the other sorority girls, but I'm next level. I will make your life suck if you get on my nerves. Which, you know, for now, I'm leaving that alone. But when I found out she was being a joke thief. But, you know, we got to wrap this up. So, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Slumber Party. This has probably been the most Slumber Party episode of Slumber Party ever. We're just going to keep out Slumber Partying ourselves because this was probably the most Slumber Party episode ever because I gossiped. I should have put rollers in my hair for as much as I was going to gossip. I think Lindy's happy with it. He's on the edge of his seat, literally. Bijou is in her bed. But yeah, Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave your comments. Let me know how you feel about me. After I just got to saying, I don't care how everybody feels about me. Let me know what you guys think of the episode. How about we do that? Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.